Okay, let's talk about discourse and genre. Genre is from the French words. Yeah, you can say genre, not genre. So let's talk about the first one of definition of genre. A stage goal-oriented purposeful activity in which speakers engage as members of our culture. It is based on Martin. So basically, genre is the collection of texts. So for example, if the genre is narrative, it is dealing with the narrative text to entertain the readers. So when you write scriptsy or when you write thesis, there will be genre of the academic writing. Okay, what is genre? Genre comprises a class of communicative events, the members of which share some set of communicative purposes. These purposes are recognized by the expert members of the parent discourse community and thereby constitute the rational, social purpose for the genre. The social purpose shapes the schematic discourse, structure of discourse, and the influences and constraints choice of content and style. Okay, what is genre? Communicative purpose is both privilege criterion, that is the criterion that matters the most, and one that operates to keep the scope of the genre as here concave narrowly focused on comparable rhetorical action. In addition to the purpose, examples of the genre exhibit various patterns of similarity in terms of structure, style, content, and intended audience. So let's take for example, if you see or write the procedure text, which is for example like making a fried noodle. So there's a genre related to the procedure text. So when you do that, there will be like organizational structure of the text that can be identified as the, for example, like materials, ingredients, and the procedures. So every genre has their own characteristics and own structures of the text for communicative purpose. If all high probability expectation, that is more or less not either, are realized, the exemplar will be viewed as prototypical by the parent discourse community. Okay. Practicing genre is almost like playing a game with its own rules and conventions. Established genre participants, both writers and readers, are like skilled players. It is not simply a matter of learning the language or even learning by bata, assigning tags to a genre category. So this one is the Monica story. So for example, when we read the story or we write the story, there will be certain structures to introduce the characters, maybe to introduce the conflict or maybe the complication, and of course there will be solution, not just directly explaining the solution, but maybe the writer will have like twist plots or maybe like climax in the middle of the story and so on. Customer, what kind of book would you say this is? Where would you put in your bookshelves? So this one is also can be classified as genre because genre is not only limited to the written text but also the spoken text that can be analyzed. For example, like what kind of book would you like this is? Where would you put in all your bookshelves? This one is the customer assistant said, well, I suppose you would call it a biography because it's got some of her earlier life in it. It's not a memoir. I don't know. It is not very interesting. She got some else to help her write it. It should have been in the first person. I only read about half of it. I don't know. Maybe it is unexposed. So in this case, the sales assistant, would like to explain to the customer about the question that she asked, but in the difficult way or maybe more complicated ways. She explains what the question of the customers. So basically it is not too great answer to be proposed. Relationship between genres. In the relationship between genres, we can see like the letter to editor, for example, or maybe written genres across the cultures by looking at the culture of Indonesia, for example, like when the story of the Java between the story of East Java and the West Java complication story, so that's called the genre across the culture. And then we can also spoken genre across the culture. Yes. Summary: genres are activities that people engage in through the use of language. Remember, there are many kind of genres. For example, like in the academic setting or maybe in the formal setting, when people write thesis, there will be like introduction, literature review, methods, and also the findings. The last one is summary. And for example, when we watch movies, there will be like script, and then that explain about the stories, starting from beginning or orientation, complication, and then resolution. When we deal with the report text, for example, we also give the description in general and then the description in specific, or you can say classification. Letters to the editor and academic essay are examples of written genres. Academic lectures and casual conversation are examples of spoken genres. So there are two kind of genres: written genres or maybe the spoken genres. A text may have the same structure as the other text, yet be an instance of very different genre. They can have different structure but different genre. Different text but different genre. A text may be mix of different genres. Genres change through the time. We drew on previous experiences with the genre to reproduce, understand, and interpret new examples of a genre. Genre is not always clear-cut categories. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum.